Welcome back to Talk Tuah, the companion podcast for Haliey Welch's Talk Tuah. We're your hosts. I'm Cam.
And I'm Peter.
And today we are talking about a real city episode.
Yeah, it's city-centric for sure. I mean, Haliey and Chelsea are brought out of Nashville, Tennessee, and L.A. They've been spending their time between those two cities, but they're brought into New York City, the Big Apple, this week.
So they're coming from Broadway to Broadway.
And the reason being, I presume, is because their guest is Hannah Berner, none other than Hannah Berner, who she had her own Netflix special called We Ride at Dawn. And she's a New York born and raised
from
true blue blood
Yankee.
New Yorker. Yeah, Yankee.
She is from Brooklyn. We don't know which borough of the city she lives in now. I hope that she lives somewhere with easy access to the M&M store in Times Square.
Yeah. Well, they were in Times Square for this episode.
That's right. And look, before we dive into the episode, let's just break down the set because, we're departing from the normal set to...
Yeah, we are.
This is I'm not sure... Hold on. We wrote it down.
It feels more spacious.
The Bolero in Times Square.
Yeah, I believe it's the Bolero. It's a bowling alley venue, I believe, because they give a shout out at the end too that I think further solidified what I thought I heard in the first introduction to the venue.
Well, there's a sign that says bowling.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I think that was pretty glaring signal that they were in a place that is centered around bowling.
I mean, to me, the set felt wonky.
Yeah.
It felt weird. This is why. They're sitting in huge chairs, huge brown leather, lazy boys. Yep. I don't know. There's a giant fireplace behind them. And when I say giant, I'm just like, okay, here's the thing. If you're new to this podcast, we kind of are hoping that you're listening and watching our podcast after having watched their podcast. We're not going to really deploy many images or callbacks here. We just expect that people will do the work, right? We're a companion podcast. So, if you can remember what it looked like, all the furniture was massive.
Yeah. And if you did your homework, you'd know that there's a dog coming in and out of frame the entire episode. Moose, yep. Huge, massive dog. I don't know what breed. But that further added to the, heightened sense of outsized kind of personalities gathering around in an outsized room. Everything
was huge. And it felt like Gulliver's Travels or something.
Yeah, it felt like maybe the production team was trying to contain these massive personalities by shrinking them down into enlarged furniture pieces.
And even the TV with Talk Tuah and Haliey's name on it was ginormous.
Yeah, you could not miss that thing.
I will say, Hannah thought that the chairs reminded her of Game of Thrones. To me, didn't see it. I mean, if you're talking about Game of Thrones chairs, I'm imagining spiky swords. Literally the throne made out of swords.
I think you're missing a key detail, Cam.
Yeah.
I don't know if you observed the tall-sized coffee that Haliey was grappling with for
next
much
to
of
her
the
phone.
episode.
Next to her phone that was out.
Phone.
Huge gripe
But
line.
if you remember in Game of Thrones, there was a famous little anachronistic blunder on the set where there was a coffee that was left in the show. I guess it just happened to be some
Starbucks
crew member's cup on set, and it just made it into the show. A lot of fans were upset, and I think maybe Hannah was alluding to that when she saw Haliey holding this cup of coffee in her supposed Game of Thrones chair.
A little callback to Starbucks in Westeros.
Yeah.
But guess what? This isn't fantasy. This is real life, and real people fucked up making this episode.
That's true.
Because the focus on Chelsea was...
Oh.
Why does Chelsea always get the short end of the stick?
Yeah, her frame can never be just right.
And in this episode, the frame was right.
Yeah.
Headroom was great. There wasn't really a Nordstrom rack in the background.
Yeah. It seemed all perfect. I mean, at one point, there was what looked like a Best Buy Geek Squad member fiddling on his laptop in the background behind Chelsea.
There was a guy in a blue shirt holding a laptop.
What was the timestamp? That was about 14 minutes and 35 seconds into the episode.
It might have been the second AC because I will hold them personally responsible for
the soft focus.
Spitting on Chelsea's frame. Look,
yeah,
it takes a second AC to rack the focus
And look, it's a difficult job. I mean, I don't want to excuse their, job performance, but it is difficult to get it right in the crosshairs of what you want to keep in focus. I just think...
Right, and especially when the aperture is razor thin, right? Because everything behind her was so blurry and out of focus. So they were truly pulling focus on a tightrope, but still.
Mind your zebra lines, guys. Come on.
That's what they're for, I mean, they should have been on Chelsea, not the microphone.
And what was Video Village thinking, seeing this in their monitors and just deciding, oh, this is fine for the final cut?
Yeah, not only did the entire camera department sign off on this out-of-focus shot, but the director saw a blurry frame.
Did they think that post-production had some magical software that could just fix blurriness?
Yeah, and here's the thing. Maybe with AI editing can... I don't know, make blurry things a little more in detail, but that's
I don't think we're there yet.
That is still, you make that blunder, you're kind of screwed when it comes into the post-production.
They were screwed. They had to put it out in the final product.
Well, again, if you want to even attempt fixing that with an editor, you're looking at $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a day.
Easily, yeah. Like, that is just not an easy task to unblur and refocus footage.
But, I just wonder why they couldn't have the aperture a little lower, right?
Yeah.
Take it down a few stops.
Yeah.
I don't care if we see the background. I'd rather have Chelsea in frame than have it feel so cinematic, I don't want to watch Child of God when I'm watching a YouTube podcast.
Yeah, no.
I want to be able to see the person talking, and I want to see the entire set and all the care and love that goes into crafting a podcast set.
Yeah, I didn't think we were asking for much when we, asked for these things.
Well, we've had our problems with the camera operator, the boom operator, the editors, second AC, really no angel.
Yeah.
Showing their true colors in this episode. Even before we move on, throwing Haliey's frame out of focus for a quick couple seconds at one point where the microphone, pristine 4K focus.
Yeah, that somehow got all the attention. But Haliey, star of the series, she's blurred.
Yeah.
Don't know what was up with that. But, I mean, now that we've gotten a bit into the technicals, let's talk more about the studio that they're in. I mean, this place seemed massive. At one point, Hannah calls out to someone behind the camera, and they respond. But neither of us could catch a lick of what they said. It sounded like they were so far away that their voice just did not carry back to...
No, they were at least 5 to 10 miles out, screaming into a megaphone, and we could barely hear them, and the editor didn't really want to throw in captions.
Yeah, so we were kind of lost, stranded out there with that.
We have no idea how deep this set was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is in Times Square?
Yeah. I mean, everything is supposedly compact in New York, except what? This one bowling alley?
Well, that's why it doesn't even make sense. I mean... New York City is how many what is the square footage of New York City, Manhattan?
I think 10 million.
10 million.
Or maybe that's a population.
Los Angeles, for reference, is like 500 miles across.
That's
or
not
something.
square feet, that's miles.
Look, I think we're getting into the technicals a little too
I get my
heavy.
units crossed all the time.
The point is, New York, I thought, didn't have the space for this kind of thing. No. So are they actually shooting in New York? Because I've never heard of the Bellagio.
I think it's Bolero.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I haven't been to New York myself. I mean, I'm just going to take them at their word. But I guess it's possible that this was filmed off-site, and maybe they had a second unit filming some moments in New York that didn't end up making it into the cut, but they were able to credit it as being shot and filmed in New York.
I could see that.
That's a possibility, I guess.
Let me ask you this: what's your biggest gripe with New York City?
It's just cold. I just really. I mean, we both moved out here from the East Coast. For me, it was a big part of it was I can't do the cold. That sucks. Yeah,
I feel like my biggest gripe is kind of related to that. It's that when you're in a building, for the most part, most people don't have individual like thermostats.
Yeah.
Like the building kind of controls the apartments.
Yeah, like the moderator gets the final say.
Yeah, there's one mod per building, and it can get really hot or really cold.
Yeah.
And so the only reason I bring it up is because that same question was asked to Haliey, and Haliey said her biggest gripe with New York City is the rats. She hasn't seen one yet.
Yeah, she's dying to see one. So Next, I don't think she's still in New York as of now, but next time she's in, I hope someone can, round up a rat and show it to her. Because, I mean, she was begging to see a rat.
Do you think that's kind of a testament to how good of a job Eric Adams is doing with his war on rats?
He's been definitely making a dent. I mean, I know he's getting tied up in other bullshit legal troubles or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
complete horseshit.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd love to see him, keep going on those rats. I mean, maybe save one so that Haliey can see it next time she's in town.
Yeah, it should be in a museum or something.
Yeah, but let's make rats a thing of the past, guys. Come on. How hard can it be? Eric, you're doing great. Keep up the good work, but everyone else, drop the bullshit around him.
Well, look, Hannah's a Leo. That makes sense.
Does it?
I think so. Leos are the star of the show, right? They're very outgoing people.
Yeah.
Leo the lion, right? From Toy Story, or what am I thinking? Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I think it's Wizard of Oz.
She's a comedian. For anyone who doesn't really know her background, she's a stand-up.
Yeah. She's got to be fiery. I guess that makes sense. It's a fire sign.
Yep. And what's your sign for reference?
Libra. Which I almost said Leo there, but no, I'm a Libra.
Libras are all about scale. Do you feel like you're someone that's very balanced?
At times, yeah, sure.
You said you don't dream.
I don't dream, that's true. But does that have something to do with Libras?
I'm sure it has everything to do with Libras.
Okay.
Libras are very balanced. You have a neutral mind. You don't let much filth into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that I believe it's true that everyone does dream. It's just a matter if you remember it. And I remember jack shit of my dreams. I get one memorable dream every year and a half, it feels like at times.
Do you feel like you're a very messy person?
No, at times, yeah. I guess that's the Libra in me. I mean,
Libras are said to be very clean.
Really?
I think so.
My room looks like shit.
Okay, well, you're really going against the stereotypes.
Defying expectations. What sign are you for reference?
I'm a Scorpio.
That makes sense. What about you feels the most Scorpio to you?
People say Scorpios are very intense people. I feel very chill. I think I defy mine as well. Scorpios, people say, have very sick vendettas, that they're very twisted, Joker-esque people. I haven't seen Joker 2, so I don't know if that holds up. I don't know if I relate to anyone in that.
That's fair.
But
I heard it's not a good movie.
I've heard the same thing. I don't know if that's coming from anyone that's really just hating on New York City, though.
Yeah.
Shitting on New York or shitting on Lady Gaga.
Could be vendettas against Todd Phillips for what he did in The Hangover Part 3, but...
There's a lot of resentment there left over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Haliey revealed that she's a Pisces. I think we knew this from prior episodes we've covered. I mean, that makes sense.
I think that makes total sense. She's a little emotional.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's
Everyone
good to be
is.
emotional. It's good to be in touch with your emotions. But it was interesting seeing a water sign clashing with a fire sign at times this episode. I mean, they seem to be coming from two entirely different walks of life the entire time. They were imparting... It was like a clash of two Americas, where they were just sharing their own little slices of life from both Nashville and New York City. And it made for a really compelling episode. I thought the discussion was lively all the way through. Mm-hmm. I thought Hannah came in with some really good material to talk about, with kind of cultural quizzes.
I don't know, man. A lot of that felt very esoteric to me and just weirdly niche.
Really?
Didn't you feel that was... I mean, I guess the biggest one, when she brought up the Civil War or something, she said the North versus the South.
Yeah.
Chelsea and Haliey had no fucking idea what she was talking about. And honestly, I've heard some things about the Civil War.
It's a famous war.
Is it? I don't think it was a huge deal. I mean, the girls didn't know what it was. And I mean, to me, it's like, I think there's so much happening in life. It's like, who has the time to even think about that?
Yeah.
Did anything even change or happen? I don't think so.
I do think the war as a whole probably had some impact on where we stand today.
Like what?
In the country.
See, look,
I guess
it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
The biggest takeaway for me is that some dude got domed in an opera.
Yeah.
With a top hat on.
And that's what's crazy is that guy was leading the side that supposedly won.
Oh, was he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln, 16th president of the country, had his dome topped at an opera.
Just had his brains blown out from the back of his skull through the front of his face.
Hannah, she's gloating and saying that the North won the war. But it's like, can you say that when the guy who led you to victory had his, had his entire inside of his head blown through his face?
His teeth were ground to fucking dust by a mini cannon that went from the back of his skull exploding onto the fucking person in front of him. That's disgusting.
Pink mist exploded onto his wife, Mary Todd.
Yeah. I mean, his eyeballs probably were disintegrated on the fucking spot, from this guy.
And keep in mind, this could have gone in through his top hat, and it didn't.
And it just makes a mess everywhere.
Yeah. And so it's tough to say that the Civil War was that consequential when given the fact that the South kind of won culturally past that. I mean, Reconstruction was just a complete failure. I mean, it was a cash grab for the ruling class. Southern slave owners got away with nothing more than a slap on the wrist. And yeah, slavery outright might have been abolished, but what about prison slavery? I mean, the legacy continues.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would argue that slavery just kind of shifted forms.
Yeah.
If you're in prison, you're allowed to be a slave because people in prison make, 30 cents a day working for McDonald's, stamping license plates. They're doing labor.
Yeah.
They're getting fucking shafted. I mean, you're right. Southern ruling families, they didn't really have to give up their land or have to give anything up. No. And you know what? That guy in the theater got his shit rocked.
Yep, he did. And I mean, it was Hannah brought this up, and Chelsea and Haliey were unfamiliar with the entire concept of the Civil War.
But again, I don't blame them, right?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how much of this truly matters with American history.
Yeah.
But look, Haliey did give Hannah yodeling vibes.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
I did. And then it's led into a conversation about Mason Ramsey, another
he is my favorite icon. I think he's my favorite country star, Mason Ramsey.
Over Dasha or Mark Cuban?
Well, look, is it Dasha or Dasha?
Chelsea in this episode, they do a callback to Dasha, and she calls her Dasha.
Right.
I mean, I'm just going off of Dasha's word in her own episode where she said it's Dasha.
She claims that, sure. We don't know.
Yeah. My impulse is to say Dasha, so I am fighting my natural tendencies. But Dasha, I mean, I'll respect your wishes, I guess.
But, no, I mean, I like Mason because I feel like a lot of country is kind of getting into this poppy... like pop country kind of thing. And I think Mason really brings it back to its roots, right? He's singing in a Walmart. I think really, to me, resembles a lot of the rank and file kind of country performance. These are regular people really singing their feelings. And it's very just minimal production.
Yeah. I mean, the greatest outlaw country stars like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard. I mean, these are all... people who came from working class backgrounds.
100%.
And, they understand what the inside of a Walmart looks like. They've been there.
Yes. Now, I wanted to ask you, Hannah is a New Yorker who can't drive. She doesn't have a license. That's probably more common than most people think, right? Like a lot of people in New York don't really drive.
Yeah, anytime I've been there, I've relied on public transit.
So that didn't catch you by any surprise?
No, it wasn't all that surprising. I mean, they're probably the most condensed city in the country where it is easy enough to get by on public transit. Mm-hmm. I also think they charge $20 to drive a car into the city. I believe there's like a toll.
If you come from like Jersey Turnpike or whatever?
I believe so.
What is it? The Jersey Bridge or whatever?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely frowned upon to be driving around. It's also just a headache. I mean, people are walking over you everywhere over there.
Oh, for sure. Which sucks, man. I mean, right? It's like America's a city built for driving.
It is.
I want to be behind the wheel.
Yeah. It does feel great to be behind a wheel. Yeah.
It's like, I want to be running over curbs like Chelsea.
Well, people always they're always walking around pretty proudly with like AirPods in or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, try doing that in a car. Like when you're driving.
Feels amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, why reserve this for walking when you can be listening to your favorite music through your AirPods in your car?
Anytime I see someone driving while listening to music with headphones on, I'm just like, that's someone I want to be behind. Yeah. I could probably learn a thing or two from them, and they probably have sick bumper stickers like the Apple sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool when I see that on a car.
I do love that.
Now, Haliey drives a Nissan Altima. That was a huge reveal. And she threw Chelsea under the bus, saying the only time her car is dirty is when Chelsea's behind the wheel.
Yeah.
What did you think about that moment?
Well, I didn't think that was, that great. I mean, I probably could have settled that off camera. But I guess maybe it is such an issue where Chelsea has been making a mess in Haliey's car with enough frequency where Haliey's putting her foot down and kind of using the tactic of embarrassment to maybe get Chelsea to change her ways.
Do you think that's possible for Chelsea?
I think so. I think Chelsea's probably amenable. I mean, this is a long-lasting friendship, and I think she really does value what Haliey has to say, and I think she'll probably heed that advice or, heed that little dose of humiliation to do better in the future. But did you catch how I guessed the Nissan Altima?
You did.
So they were talking about it. They prefaced this reveal with Haliey's going on and on about how this is the ultimate white girl car. And Hannah has no idea what she's talking about. Typical New Yorker has no idea the different stereotypes about cars. And I mutter under my breath. Cam heard me. I go, it's a Nissan Altima. It's got to be a Nissan Altima, or the ultimate white girl car.
You knew it.
And Haliey says, Nissan Altima. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, kudos to you. Look, I think Haliey really surprised me this episode when she kind of broke off from Southern stereotypes, right? I think a lot of people want to put her in a box.
Of course.
And the thing is, we learned this episode, she doesn't hunt, and she doesn't eat grits.
Yeah.
Okay? I think a lot of people look at her and see kind of this Ethel Cain, kind of like Southern, but kind of, progressive, I don't know, vibe. But with Haliey, I don't know how much she really identifies even as Southern, because she was doing what she called a basic white girl accent.
Yeah.
That was so convincing, where she kind of, what Chelsea said sounded like Ariana Grande.
Yeah. Who is famously not from the South. I mean, there are a lot of white girls from the South, and this accent wasn't a Southern white girl accent, which was interesting. So it's just the default white girl accent, which I don't know if you can place it within a region. I mean, there's an interesting thing going on there. I don't know where she's drawing this inspiration from.
Well,
maybe it's like in the Instagram voice almost, or like a digital age white girl voice.
Well, I mean, I also think it depends, because when you hear an accent and someone says, oh, that's Ariana Grande, it's like, are we talking a more SoCal accent, like her role from Victorious?
That's what I thought she was going to do.
Or are we thinking maybe more of like a witchy accent from Wicked?
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe they'd be more vocal fry, but there wasn't even too much vocal fry.
Is vocal fry a distinctly California thing?
No, it's not. I think it maybe has strong bass here, but I don't believe it is just, I don't think it was localized within.
Where else would it be? And if you don't know, vocal fry is kind of like stretching out your words.
And I think, I think that's a national thing, because I actually learned about it in a linguistics class.
You did? Tell me more about this. You're like the linguist from Arrival, where you're communicating with aliens with ink or something.
I am doing that a bit. This class, I mean, just talk about vocal fry, and it was never, they never placed it within just California. It was like this is becoming a movement where people are talking more and more like this.
But do you think it's always been around, or do you think it's really taking
it's definitely more recent.
Yeah, like Gen Z, maybe millennials have really popularized it. Wow.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's why it's refreshing that Haliey doesn't lean on a vocal fry. And I think that's why her voice stands out in the crowded field of podcasting. It's another form of disruption that she's taking on to really define herself as different in this industry.
Well, look, I mean, Haliey has always stood out. And in this episode, it also is kind of a testament to how kind she is, where she was talking about the two guys that did the original interview that fateful night when she said Talk Tuah. And she said those gentlemen wouldn't take down the video when she was DMing them and saying, guys, can you take down this video?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, whatever. They didn't take it down.
And she had to turn the other cheek.
She said that's kind of why she started running with the quote-unquote 15 minutes of fame thing.
Yeah.
Now, do you think she was right to not really give those guys credit? Because she did say, look, I wish them well, but she's saying that video, she's claiming ownership. She's saying, okay, fine. You don't want to take it down. I'm going to claim it. It's mine. I'm not really giving them credit because they've spoken out about that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been crybabies this whole time. And look, they weren't the ones who gave that performance on camera. So, like, what? And they weren't even, like, directing her, really. I think,
right,
like, we learned from Hannah, who has done street interviews, that she stays away from interviewing people who are drunk or high or just under any influence who might later request that their video be taken down because I think she's, acutely aware that it's not right to film people under the influence.
No, it's
and
not.
then it's also
not
a
right
headache.
to hang out outside a bar and exploit people for content that you will post and you will gain from. Look, we live in an attention economy.
Yeah, we do.
So those guys were kind of poaching people for content and memes and virality, and they got it with Haliey. But the problem was Haliey bit back.
Yeah.
And she bit back hard.
Yeah, and now she has a successful podcast out of it.
Because it also is a key detail that she asked them to take it down.
Yeah.
They didn't take it down. That's non-consensual.
Yeah.
Now look.
Just straight up predatory.
Well, but look, Haliey did go on the show. But again, I would just keep coming back to the facts and argue she was under the influence.
Yeah.
They chose to be in that location, hang out by a bar. Why not hang out by a place people aren't drinking, like a Chili's or something?
And it was Harley talking, her alter ego. And
Right.
Haliey had to reap the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Haliey has the bravado to spin this whole thing around and turn it into such a positive force for good.
Yeah.
Launching this podcast and a charity.
Are those guys also doing charity for Paws Across America?
Probably
with
not.
Some of the money they get from their viral videos?
Probably not. They're probably farting on their asses back in Nashville.
Yeah, they probably have dirty diapers.
Yeah.
Look, I think people who do that kind of... But look, also, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If they didn't film her, a lot of people would argue, well, then Haliey wouldn't be where she is now. But the question is, did Haliey ask for this? No. She was kind of thrown into it.
She truly was. And she locked herself in her room for 2 or 3 weeks after this video got posted.
Yeah.
She truly did not want this, but she realized that if her life's going to be turned upside down, she's going to make the most of it. And to that point, where would she be if this video hadn't happened? I mean, Hannah recognized in her a comedian's wit.
Yes.
Hannah, brought up the fact that when she saw the original video, she was like, oh, that's a comedian right there. And that, that force for comedy was going to come out no matter what.
Yeah, and I think all that video did was really accelerate it for her path in life. But you have to be thinking to yourself, wouldn't anyone rather be choosing kind of a cool life in LA where you're traveling, meeting people, doing a podcast, being able to do a charity?
Going to Erewhon every now and then.
Yeah, rather than just working a job that maybe you don't really like in your smaller town. I mean, it's like, come on. And the fact that these guys really, that was harassment.
Yeah.
Not taking down the video, it was, because you have to think about how hurt you feel when maybe someone says something about you online that you don't like.
Yeah.
And how much damage that does to your psyche when, I don't know, I mean, anyone could feel that with any amount of followers.
Yeah.
So imagine if it's exacerbated on a global scale.
Yeah,
huge.
global.
So, I guess our answer to, should Haliey give those guys credit?
No, of course not.
No!
Look, Haliey and Chelsea can't even go on Broadway anymore. They can't even
Chelsea
enjoy Wicked or Hamilton.
Chelsea said she still could.
Well, she did say that. Wait, were they talking about Broadway in New York or...
I think Broadway in Nashville.
Okay, that is where that video
You have to remember,
from.
they're not based in New York.
That's true.
2 Broadways.
Okay.
I mix them up too.
Okay.
But
yeah, Chelsea can go on.
Oh, yeah.
She's not afraid to be recognized, I guess. I mean, I guess she gets recognized to a smaller degree from the video.
Well, probably because people don't really recognize her because her frame is blurry and we don't even know who that is.
That's true.
Well,
I don't know if her frame was blurry in the original video, but
just
just
come on,
to
the headroom's all over the place. She's got a fucking J.C. Penney in the background. No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this podcast is not doing her any favors.
As it should. As it should.
As it should do her favors?
It should do her favors.
Yeah,
she should be. She's the co-host.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't she get the
Have
same...
clean framing.
Yes. But also, again, maybe if she really wants that clean framing, she has to reveal some details of her personal life.
That's true.
Because, again, we are talking about Haliey's Praetorian Guard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she is very keen not to give up details about her private life. And she said that. And Haliey said, if I give up details about my life, why can't you give up details about yours?
She's not tithing anything from her little stash of secrets. She says, Talk Tuah doesn't deserve my life's details.
But do you think that the second AC is kind of on Haliey's side in a way and saying, maybe until we get the details, maybe it's a little bit extortion?
Yeah. Maybe if we can't see Chelsea for who she really is, we won't be able to see Chelsea for who she really is with this blurriness.
Okay, well, listen, I want to move on to... Hannah was kind of talking about her crowd work around 16 minutes, 30 seconds. Seems like she took a note out of Matt Rife's playbook.
Yep. Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I mean, it's interesting to see this current wave of crowd work comedians who, have a real relationship with the audiences they bring into their shows. I mean, Matt is the clear king of it. I mean, he's been doing it for how many years? And he's just able to make anyone in his audience laugh. Even when he's, knocking on them, even when he's dissing them a little bit, he gets them to fucking laugh. And I trust that Hannah's she's capable of the same. I haven't seen any of her material, but I mean, crowd work is impressive.
Crowd work is fucking hilarious. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, because when I go to a comedy show, I hate to say it, I don't really care about the comedians' jokes that much.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I've seen all their best work on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Or Instagram Reels, right?
Yeah.
So when I go, I want to see something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And it also feels cool to be in front of like a live taping of some guy getting his life fucking ruined by being filmed, goes on Instagram Reels. People find that guy's username or his real life, whoever he is, and we just dunk on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Truly show him who's boss.
Because the thing is, look, you're going into the lion's den.
Yeah.
When you go to a comedy show, you want to go see Matt Rife?
Yeah.
He will eat your fucking head off, man.
Yeah, he will.
Because this is the thing. Who goes to a comedy show wearing a weird shirt? Hannah said that is the first thing she looks for when doing crowd work. She says, first I'm going to look around, see if anyone's in a weird shirt, and then boom, I just nail them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a comedian on stage...
It's easy pickings.
And someone walks in I don't know, a weird shirt. What's going through your mind, probably?
I'm saying, that guy's going to be prime suspect number one in my fucking roast.
But where does that instinct come from? Do you think it's almost like...
Well, I'm like, that guy chose what to put on that day. Yeah. And if he wanted to put that on when he knew he was coming to a comedy show, well, he better buckle in, because he's going to get torn to shreds. Yeah,
totally. And I mean, the thing is, Hannah also said she loves sensing fear.
Yeah.
She's like the predator, with his heat-seeking vision or whatever.
Yeah.
She can just read it on people, like heat coming off their body. She said when she sees a boyfriend holding hands with a girl...
Well, like when he's like holding her hand kind of weird.
Oh, if they're doing anything weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're begging for it.
You're getting thrown in the joke incinerator, buddy.
Yeah. You're going to be mincemeat.
Totally. It's apocalyptic, and I like it that way.
Yeah. What do you think of the moment where Haliey thought Hannah was referring to her own cousin Vinny when talking about the movie My Cousin Vinny?
Kind of reminded me of that time you were telling me about that dinner you had with your friend Andre.
Yeah.
And you told me how boring and long it was.
It was really boring, and I did not want to be there.
I think that really was the Primeval podcast, right? Bunch of action, incredible conversation, all happening in one room.
Yeah.
My dinner with Andre kind of set the stage for podcast, don't you think?
Kind of did. It's an interesting theory.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah, lay it on me.
If I threw some squishy lube in your shoe, you think you'd be a little peeved?
I'd be thrown off for sure. Like, I'd be like, oh, if I stepped in that would have made a fucking mess. How do you even clean that up out of a shoe?
Well, because Chelsea played a little trick on Haliey.
Was it Chelsea or was it another crew member? Maybe it was Chelsea.
Well, they were staying together at the in Soho at a hotel.
Yeah.
Probably a boutique one.
Yeah. A nice lavish spot.
Could have been an assortment of places, right?
Yeah. We're not talking about any Hampton Inn. That's for sure.
These are all boutique hotels. But the thing is, Chelsea threw a little bit of lube in Haliey's shoe.
I think it was by accident. At least that's what Haliey assumes.
Haliey was thrown aghast by this prank.
Well, she was definitely flabbergasted, but I think she understood it as Chelsea was probably in a rush, Chelsea was probably just packing stuff and something flew across the room into Haliey's shoe, and it just happened to be a lube that was complimentary of the hotel. I guess they gave them a lube and condom package. I've never gotten that one. I've never gotten that. Hannah seemed to be unclear about what that was.
As a New Yorker too, I mean, the thing is, what is happening in Soho?
Yeah.
Now, do you know what Soho stands for?
South Hollywood.
South of Houston?
South of Houston.
I don't know if it's Houston. There's a street.
Okay.
NoHo is north of that street. Soho is south of that.
Okay.
I learned that the last time I was in the Big Apple, and it blew my mind. Look, the Manscaped ad this episode was incredible, right?
Yeah.
We finally learned where Haliey stands on Pookie's chest hair.
Yeah, we do. And it's that she doesn't really like the feeling of it. It's like she mentioned to Hannah separately that she's a texture girl. And apparently the texture of Pookie's hair is pretty off-putting. And that's why Manscaped is such a powerful device. It's like...
You're talking about the Chairman Electric Pro?
Yeah. Manscaped is the umbrella brand.
And it's waterproof, too, so you can do it in the shower.
Yeah. And that seems super useful. Haliey has a blast doing it with Pookie. Like, I think...
It's a great exercise to do together.
She gets to shave him, and then he also shaves on his own time, too. But... apparently it's really helping that relationship keep on going. Yeah.
Do you know, Hannah said she was married, but it's off-brand to talk about it.
Yep.
What did you think about that?
I don't know why she's so shy about revealing her own Pookie.
We know he's Irish.
Yeah, we do.
We know he's from New York, but he had to go live in Ireland when he was a teen because he was
a bit
naughty.
Of a bad boy.
Kind of definitely coming under Matt Rife's school, right?
Yeah.
R-rated comedian. Look, he is 38. No, 48. No, 48.
Yeah, there was a bit of like a 15-year age gap between them. But Hannah made it clear that she wouldn't have married someone that much older than her if she was in her 20s. She really took her 20s to, develop and figure out who she was in her own life. She wanted her brain to be fully developed before she ever got married or saw an older guy. And now she's in her 30s and she's happily married. I mean, seems to be going amazingly. It seemed like a really nice way that they met.
I also found it really interesting that she and him got married without ever seeing each other's sets.
Yeah.
That was a key detail.
Yeah.
They kind of fell in love with each other's humor about, both recognizing what's so funny about the other person, but never seeing it in a professional setting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It seems really nice and harmonious.
Do you almost think there could be a feeling of like, well, this person does this professionally and it's one way, but then when they joke around with me, it's this kind of sincere thing that they're not sharing with a crowd, right?
I mean, it's possible that her husband would not want to be in the same room that she's doing crowd work in, because he might not be cut out for watching that kind of violence on stage.
Well, this is someone from Ireland. You don't think he's doing crowd work on poor schmucks that wander into his comedy cellar?
It's possible. She just didn't mention it. He might not be a crowd work comedian. I mean, he could be into clown play.
He could. He could be in a alt LA scene. He could be in a New York improv. He could be an improv guy. I don't know.
I guess clown play has crowd work of its own, but...
Sure. But not like...
it's not tearing people to shreds necessarily. Yeah. The joke always comes back to falling on the clown.
No, and the thing is, you wouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight. You wouldn't wear a weird shirt to a crowd work set. Please.
That's so true.
Go in prepared.
Yeah.
I would wear a fucking bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
If I ever went in to a crowd work set.
Yeah. What do you think of the reveal that Pookie is 24? Bit of an older man that Haliey is seeing.
Yeah, a bit of a gap. 2 years is a lot for sure.
I should disclose that there's a 2-year gap between myself and my Pookie.
There's a 5-year gap between me and my Pookie.
Yeah, I mean...
Going up, she's 5 years older than me.
Yeah, same with mine. 2 years older than me. But it's, it's interesting, dating an older person.
I think it's necessary.
I get the appeal.
Well, you don't want to date... Look, I mean, you date someone younger than you, you're still figuring out shit in your 20s.
Yeah.
We're 26.
Yeah.
So we've had a little bit more time to figure out who we are as people. And then when you're dating, you want to kind of be with someone that has figured out who they are, what they want,
It takes two people who have figured out what they want to tango.
Right. Well, I think, Pookie was an incredible match for Haliey. Obviously,
Really?
I think he's great for Haliey.
Wow.
I do.
That's refreshing to hear that from you.
I think it's a shame he's such a baby and gets jealous of Matt Rife. But again, who wouldn't? Because he's the funniest comedian ever.
I mean, how would you feel if your Pookie had a pillow of Matt Rife on her bed?
I have a pillow of Matt Rife myself. I would be impressed that she's as big of a fan as me and has such an incredible taste in comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't think we can, compare apples to oranges here.
Because I think we can admit that that Hannah said the biggest key to being with someone, and she said wanting to take those panties off, pardon my French.
Or her drawers.
Her drawers. Is laughter. Okay?
Yeah. And look, I think that is important, but I believe that Pookie and Haliey have their own laugh language.
When's the last time Pookie did crowd work?
Crowd work's not the only way to make people laugh, and I think in a
Really?
relationship. No,
you
I mean,
actually think that?
Yeah, I do. I do think that crowd work is, of course, the best form of stand-up comedy. But in a relationship, when you're dealing with this person day to day, talking to them, having honest conversations, everyone has their own laugh language, and I'm sure that Pookie makes Haliey laugh.
What else do we got? Listen.
What do we think of Haliey saying that she's got to go to one of Hannah's shows? I felt like this was maybe a subtle nod to Game Time, the app that they were promoting earlier in the episode. It's perfect for booking tickets to any kind of show or event. I thought that maybe Haliey was probably going to hop on Game Time after the...
Well, they used it to go see Superstar Matt Rife, so of course it's an amazing product.
And I'm sure it was a good night. It was an amazing night, and I'm sure that Haliey went back to see Pookie, and I'm sure
I bet Pookie was red in the face there the whole time, just seeing how devilishly funny Matt Rife is.
We don't know if Pookie was there, so it's possible that this jealousy comes from the fact that Pookie wasn't invited to the Matt Rife show, and he missed out on some hilarious comedy.
That's probably the biggest part of it, honestly.
We learned also, I just want to put a point in Pookie's corner that we learned this episode that he had just recently asked Haliey to be his girlfriend.
Yes, that was a huge
it was
moment.
Really sweet. And
it's official.
Yeah.
It is officially official.
Yeah.
Even though we knew about it.
We did know about it. We jumped the gun a little bit by covering this moment when we covered episode 10, where it was the full Pookie reveal. But back along in episode 6 that we're covering now, it must have just recently happened that Pookie filled up his apartment with balloons and everything, pulled a prank with his roommate.
The lunchbox scandal.
The lunchbox trick that they pulled on Haliey.
That was nasty.
Yeah, they were setting the decorations right and everything to make sure that was like the perfect moment.
He snuck her into a really cool decorated room.
Yeah.
And was like, yo, let's date.
And Haliey kind of fumbled it a little bit. She turned on the fan immediately, and I think that it messed up a couple of the balloons. But it was still a really sweet moment, and Hannah was touched by it. Everyone on set was excited to talk about it.
I think it was really cute. And also, Hannah said that you should be, if you're in a relationship, you should try to be hardworking and kind. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that.
No, I wouldn't either. I think those are really good qualities to have.
You think it's important to be kind?
Yes, especially in a relationship.
Why?
It's just important to be mindful of other people.
Well, why is it important?
Why wouldn't it be? You want to make sure that your
I'm not
partner
arguing
feels
with you.
cared for.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your partner's cared for and feels like they're being heard and respected.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah, of course. Lay it on me.
Hannah likes talking about dick size. What do you think about that? She likes gossiping with her friends.
She did say that is the main thing that girls gossip about after, any kind of sexual encounter that one of them has.
Is that true, or is that just a New York thing?
It seemed like Chelsea and Haliey were a little more secretive about it, but it seemed like maybe just judging by their expressions that maybe they do a little bit of the same kind of gossip down south.
I can't imagine that's what our Pookies talk about when they're together, right?
You don't think?
There's no way.
I don't know.
Really?
I just don't know.
Why? Did they say anything?
Not that I've heard. I'm not privy to any of this information.
Me neither.
but I just don't think we can rule it out. I mean,
Okay.
we've never really talked about their sizes.
Why would we?
I mean, to
We
us, it
have a
would feel
podcast to do.
impolite.
We have a podcast to do.
Yeah.
We don't have time, even if we wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, to us, I think it would also just come across as a little bit, I don't know, poorly intentioned.
Right. Because what's there to gain from that?
Yeah. Why would I need to know?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just like, if you're not privy to it, don't say anything. Right?
Yeah.
And my golden rule is always be nice.
Yeah.
So if you have something mean to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah. And so then there's also the talk of regional names for descendants, like
Yeah.
your grandparents.
They got into granny nomenclature.
Yeah. So Hannah it brings up the fact that it makes her laugh, the names that people in the South use to call their grandparents. Like you got Mamaw, you got Meemaw, you got Mamoo.
You got Mewtwo,
Yeah.
JK.
Yeah, I guess that one's probably not
I was just
typical.
pranking you. Yeah, they didn't say that.
For a moment, I almost believed you. I guess that's my own prejudice is jumping out a little bit, that I fully believe that that's something that Southern people would.
Now,
call their
Hannah said that
grandparents.
in the North, they really just, and wow,
They
she
stick to
is,
the classics.
she is addicted to this U.S. history of North versus South.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a huge deal,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, she said in the North, we call our grandma or Nana.
Yeah.
If they're Italian, we call them Nana.
Yeah.
Nana. My
You're
Nana.
you're Italian, right? A little bit.
Sure am. On my daddy's side, I'm quite Italian, and then my mom is more, German, English, Scottish, Welsh,
Are
kind
you a
of French.
Nana or a granny family?
Both my grandmas are unfortunately gone, but I called them grandma, and I always said I love you when I saw them. I made sure to do that because,
Was it Grandma 1 and Grandma 2? Or how they were both named Grandma? How did that work?
well, I just called them grandma and then their first name. Did you do that?
Oh.
I'd say Grandma Ruth or Grandma Mary Ann.
My one grandmother had passed before I was born. The other one passed when I was like 6, but we would call her Nana.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You're more Italian than me.
Yeah, and I'm only like an 8th, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
What do you mainly?
a whole bunch of things.
That's very Libra of you.
Yeah, I got a bunch of things going on in me.
Well,
A bunch
there's
of wolves fighting.
which one do you feel like is winning?
I got a bit of German in me. I don't really, relate
Do
to
you
it
eat
as much.
Franks?
I don't, and I'm not good at following the rules all that much. And the Germans, they love to follow their rules, but
Who
I'm
said
not really
Germans
into
follow
that.
the rules?
Most people.
In what sense?
If you just follow the arc of history, they're pretty good at like following rules.
Well, I think that's interesting. I mean, the U.S. and Germany were both competing for the, spot of world power after the fall of the British Empire. Clearly one won, and the other one didn't.
Yeah.
Now, Germany also produced, because they had fascism come from them. If any history buff will be pretty apt to tell you that, right? But they also had communism from there, right?
Well, Karl Marx.
Were any other schools of thought strictly German, as a matter of speaking?
Nietzsche, I think maybe.
Really?
It sounds German. I have not read any of his works. I'm just vaguely familiar with him. I don't know where he comes from. But yeah, I mean, back to it, Germans are good at following rules. I don't think I really relate to that as much. Maybe the Italian is what I really resonate with the most. That wolf inside me.
Yeah.
That Remus or Romulus, whichever one it is.
What's going on in Italy these days, BTW?
They elected a, far-right leader,
Okay.
Giorgia Meloni.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, if you look at historical trends, when Italy elects a far-right leader,
What's so wrong with getting trains running back on time?
It's just that there's other things that come along with that kind of business, and it's just it gets kind of grisly.
Sure.
It's not looking good.
The boot of Europe is getting a little bit red-laced, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we don't like that.
It's not great to see,
Sure.
to put it lightly. Yeah, but we learned that Haliey doesn't even really call her grandmas all that weird of names. Her one grandma's named Granny.
Yeah.
She's got one Nana, and then she's got one Mama. Yeah, and so that one's maybe the one that's not as northern coded, but
Well, let me ask you this. Because we're talking about politics.
Yeah, of course. Lay it on me.
There was a vote ad, right, to vote for the 2024 presidential election. And then right after that, I found it very auspicious that Haliey immediately started talking about what she would do if she were president, which would be a mandatory smoke break daily.
Yeah.
Every day. What do you think about that?
The smoke break or the fact that she brought it up?
I mean, it's obvious. I think once she's ready to run, she's ready
run. She's ready to make a run for office. Yeah. She's raring to go. She's waiting to be able to go maybe at age 30 to run for Congress, 35 for president. She's ready. She has policies in mind. She has a vision for the future. You can't say that of many politicians. And I think, it was interesting that she put it right after that vote ad. I mean, she's just priming her audience to be ready whenever that election day comes.
Do you think that's good policy? Taking a smoke break daily?
We smoked pot just a few episodes ago.
Right, for the Wiz Khalifa.
To commemorate the Wiz Khalifa episode in which they smoked some pot. But pot's not for me. The more I've done it, I've only done it about 4 or 5 times now, has never done much for me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it works wonders for other people.
You were also smoking out of a macaroni. I mean, that
might have impeded me. Yeah.
At the end of the blunt.
Yeah, if you go back to our Wiz Khalifa coverage episode, I show the macaroni to the camera as best I can. That was a weird thing. I don't know if that's a quirked up LA tradition or if it's a I don't know much about the cannabis
Italian,
community.
Right? You're going to get al dente high.
That might be it. Maybe they smelled it on me.
So you're coming at it from a bit of an anarchist position, saying, I don't believe anyone should make me do anything I don't want to do. I don't believe in policy, because what is policy even? It's a bunch of people saying if you don't do it, there might be violence or repercussions against you.
Yeah, I would say I come at it from the anarchist angle where I'm fine with other people doing it. If other people want to do a smoke break, do it.
So if someone wants to do something they like to do and makes them happy,
yeah,
and doesn't really bother other people, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, that might be more libertarian, but it's also...
Well, do you call the fire department?
Yeah, I do, actually.
If need be?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I actually do use a lot of public services because I do think those are pretty good.
Maybe you're not a libertarian.
Maybe not.
Do you believe in governments having the right to exist? Do you believe in policy in general? Right?
Yeah.
Because policy is authoritarian, just by definition.
Yeah, it is.
Literally any policy.
Yeah, of course it is.
A foreign policy
is forcing authority upon people.
With a collective force, right?
Yeah.
Having a country's foreign policy, what if I don't agree with that?
You don't agree with policy?
Well, what if I don't agree with the U.S.'s foreign policy? They're still going to do it.
Well, bucko, I mean, you're probably fucked. There aren't really many things you can do.
Right, so that's why...
There are very few steps you can take.
Well, again, that's why we don't really have an anarchist movement, right? I mean, was Occupy Wall Street the last big one?
I don't even know if that was anarchist.
What was it? It was rock and roll. We had Rage the Machine playing.
Yeah, truly.
That was pretty epic.
Another rock and roll movement. Yeah, I mean, policy, I think, is, I believe in it. I believe in good policy. I believe that's certainly possible to achieve. And smoke break, I could see that being a good policy as long as it's not mandatory.
I think it's great intent.
Yeah. And I think that, Haliey, if having a smoke break daily benefits you in your life, keep doing it.
Go for it.
Keep convincing other people that will be good for theirs. And hopefully we can see an important movement like that sprout up.
Well, we saw Hannah's prized queef bit this episode, right?
Yes, we did.
Blaming queefs on farts.
Yeah, it kind of stole the show.
That was kind of a jaw-dropping moment, watershed moment, really.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd get a taste of her stand-up in the show.
Very salient moment, yes?
Yeah, it was.
Why?
Well, I mean, I think queefs are always topical. Queefs and farts, I mean, they do go hand in hand, and she she bridges them together perfectly. I mean, this bit, it revolves around her. Whenever she farts during sex, she blames it on a queef because guys won't know any better. And to be honest, I think that's true. I don't know what a queef is. Do you?
So if you were to blindfold yourself, put you in a room,
blindfold smell test.
Yeah, and there was a queef and then a fart. You wouldn't know which was which?
Well, I wouldn't even know based on sound or smell. Do queefs even have a smell?
I don't know. And you know
And
what?
is it queeves?
Queeve?
Queeves?
I think it's queef.
Queefs?
With an F.
Well, but like pluralized. I don't know.
Queefs.
Okay. And I thought the funnier angle of this bit, to be honest, was her talking about like guys getting grossed out by queefs or whatever. And it's like you're pumping the girl full of air.
That was
like they're sitting
hilarious.
there like
Yeah.
a basketball. That was like a crazy, because I've never thought about queefs in that way. I didn't realize that's what's happening.
I never thought about sex that way.
Never really, given it a good long look.
Yeah. But, look, if it smells like piss, sounds like piss, looks like piss, is it piss? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because we were debating also this episode whether squirts are piss.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If it comes out of the urethra, that's piss to me. And they verified that squirting does evolve from the urethra. So, I mean, and it gets muddy down there for us, especially us. It's like where is the pee hole?
Right.
When you look at that kind of anatomy. But I guess scientists are saying that the squirts come from a urethra, and I know that piss comes from my urethra. Mm-hmm. So chances are it's probably piss.
Sure. But look, would you care whether or not it's piss? That's the bigger question.
I don't think I would mind.
Right.
I think you probably got bigger things on your mind when, squirting happens.
That's the libertarian in you again, I think.
That might be it could be the libertarian speaking out.
Sexually, you're definitely a libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexually, I'm a little deviant.
Really?
Yeah.
In what sense?
Just that I'm a little libertarian.
You're not going to call the fire department?
No.
If things get a little too hot and heavy?
Yeah. House could be burning down around me. Candle could have caught onto the blinds. I would not
That's your own
call
responsibility,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Chelsea led the ghost or null section where she would give up a situation, and then the girls would say whether or not they would ghost the guy if he did that.
Yeah.
Can I just read them out loud, and then you tell me what you think?
Yeah, I thought this was a really fun segment.
Okay, let's try it. Ready?
Yeah, of course.
If a guy calls you baby.
Ghost.
Okay. What if a guy calls you the wrong name in bed?
Ghost.
What if a guy picks up pads and he brings home diapers? Like you ask him to pick up pads and he brings home diapers.
That's a ghost.
What if a guy posts thirst traps?
Yeah, easy ghost.
What if a guy has long toenails?
Oh, ghost.
You said ghost for all of those. Why? That's interesting.
Yeah.
The girls were pretty mixed up in their answers. You went all ghost.
Yeah.
Any particular reason for that?
It's more so just that I'm not like into guys, so like a guy doing any of that to me, I'm probably not gonna be down with it.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm a bit closed-minded. I don't know.
Well, listen, Hannah Berner is her alter ego.
Yeah, Hannah Berner.
Berner. Well, Haliey revealed a new alter ego this episode as well.
Harriet.
That's when she has good vibes, right?
Yeah, when everything's peachy. When she's just full of good vibes is Harriet.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a bit different from Harley. Harley's her firebrand, fireball-induced alter ego that we've talked about
Harley is going to fight a grizzly.
Yeah, but Harriet would probably try to hug the grizzly.
Yeah, try and be friends with it.
Yeah.
Haliey brought up a interesting question. She said if they were to do a comedic three-way, so a three-way with three comedians, excuse me, Hannah said she would do it with Ali Wong, Chelsea Handler, and Whitney Cummings. She would actually do a four-way.
Yeah. She asked for the special permission to expand this to a four-way, and then gave those three names and then herself. And
sounds like a really fun time.
It does, yeah.
So humorous.
It does. I think it would probably be a great night or day whenever they decide to do it.
Now, Haliey didn't really get to answer this question because she went in saying, oh, I don't know if I could say Matt Rife. Pookie's watching this. He's going to get jealous.
Come on.
And then she couldn't even answer the question. Why? She can't think of any other comedian she'd want to do a three-way with. It would just be Matt Rife and Amir.
I thought we were going to look past this. I knew you were going to bring it up.
No, we're not going to
look
look past this because Matt Rife is the funniest in the game. There's no denying it.
I never deny that.
So then why, if laughter is one of the most important things in a relationship, why can't Matt Rife be good for Haliey?
It's because Haley's with Pookie. And freshly so. I mean, they just
But
this
also,
episode.
look, they were saying you want to date an older guy. You want a guy that's got his
How
material
old
down
is Matt?
pat.
How old is Matt?
I don't-
21?
I mean, he looks young. He's fit. I bet he could do 100 sit-ups without stopping.
Okay, well, I can't.
Matt Rife should have been in Fight Club, okay? That's the kind of vibe he has.
I think it's also
He's a
just
bad
important
boy.
to note that Matt might be the funniest comedian, which we can agree on, but it's also possible that Haliey doesn't know other comedians. Because even if she was going to answer this question, the comedic three-way, and she put Matt as one of them, she clearly didn't have an answer for number 2. She might just not know many comedians.
Well, I think that's because Matt chews him up and spits him down. I mean, he's a megalodon comedian, right? His crowd work, he's just annihilating improv kids on the daily.
And he might not be an apex boyfriend. That's all I'll say.
All right. Well, look, I mean, that's towards the end of the episode, right? I mean, Haliey asked Hannah what her move in bed was. What'd you think about that? I mean,
Yeah, just hyping the guy up as much as you can.
just being present. Right?
Yeah.
But look, I mean, I think that's life, right? You want to be as present as you can with most things.
Yeah, and I mean, she took the comedy spin of saying like, every guy's concerned about his, his privates, and so you want to make sure that you're respecting that, I guess, to some degree, whether it's just plainly being present or just actually paying, like, doing some sweet talk that's a bit affirmative. That was interesting. I mean, definitely not like a physical thing.
I think more mental. I mean,
I don't know if it's really a move.
But sex is the combination of your mind and body, right?
It is, yeah. So I guess it is, yeah. It's a merging of those two.
But look, again, being present is so important, just
It
not
is.
only for sex, for anything you do in life,
Yeah.
right? When you're doing crowd work, you want to be present. When crowd work is being done onto you, you're going to want to be present. If you feel like you want to cry, cry. It's okay.
Yeah.
You are getting absolutely demolished by someone on stage with a mic. It's normal to have those feelings.
Yeah, it is.
And then later, you go and watch the video that they recorded and uploaded on their Instagram. You get to laugh your ass off and say, "That's me," and send it to all your hometown buddies.
Yeah. That is a great feeling.
Well, listen, what are we going to be doing next week? Because that's kind of the end of it this week. We should probably address what's going on
Yeah,
in terms of, look, Haliey has not put out a new episode
it's true.
as of Tuesday, so we still have 4 in the bank after this one.
Yeah, we have ones with like Brianna Chicken Fry. We got Josh Richards.
We got a lot in the bank.
Yeah, we got a couple more to catch up on from the back catalog, and then we also have her most recent one, Brooke Schofield, we have to get to.
Yeah, and I'm sure that one probably ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. We don't know what to make of Haliey's absence. We just hope she gets back in the game soon. Who knows?
And maybe she's just prepping for season 2, right?
It is a possibility.
A lot of loose ends with this season, right? I mean,
She's had a lot on her plate. She might be taking some time to reset and refresh and just get her head in the game for season 2.
or even finally going off on a hit list, Westeros style, the list of names of all these technical people that we need to fire immediately and
true.
blacklist from the industry. Cam
might-
up, boom up, editor, second AC,
Yeah.
DP. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah, she might be taking a look at that payroll and seeing which names really need to be there and deserve to be there.
Yeah, got to trim the fat.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, well, this has been a great coverage. It's been really fun breaking
love
down
this episode,
with you. Yeah, Hannah really brought the energy. All 3 brought the energy, but Hannah especially was really fun with the questions she posed, and
That's what happens when you get a crowd work comic in there.
yeah,
High octane.
yeah. So this was a blast, and I'm looking forward to covering next week's episode with you, whichever one we choose.
Thank you.
So thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, we really appreciate the support of our junior analysts far and wide in breaking down and analyzing all of Haliey's episodes alongside us. So yeah, stay tuned for next week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week. And if you are supporting the show via buying merch, thank you so much.
Yeah, that
it
really
means a
does.
lot. We've been shipping out the shirts, Peter and I.
Yeah, it's been our first time ever doing it, and we've learned a lot. But we are so thankful to have people who want to wear it and
Just want
have
to
people to
proudly
ship
rep
it out to.
Haley's name, Chelsea's name,
We got Pookie on there. We got
Matt
us.
Rife.
Okay, yeah, we
My
did.
name had to be next to Matt Rife.
Yeah,
Peter's was next to Pookie.
Yeah, you had to negotiate his name on there. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have
Thank
a
you,
great
guys.
week. Bye.